potentially your first stimulation will be to get the lumbricals and the interossei. And so that is extending the hand. This is not a flexor component because you're not primarily exciting the extrinsic flexors. This is an extensor component going against gravity. And so getting that up to get that out. Getting the up to get the out. Getting the up to get the out. And it's always against a stable thumb. So it's the four fingers moving against a stable thumb. Four fingers moving against a stable thumb. With no...
Your fingers out underneath. Right, okay.
With no flexion of the fingers at all. If you get a positive response here, then you use that for movement. Movement, 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 and reaching. And at the end of this long reach, when the scapula is in full protraction, this is the best moment to use the hand in extension to introduce it back to the person. Okay, and then back again. Okay. We can augment that movement by stimulating the friction receptors of the hand. So if I have a really good contactual hand, then I can introduce the extensor component and bring in friction. NHS towels are not well known for being the best frictional tools, right? So you might have to have a nice frictional towel at your in your box of tricks.
I thought they're normally really rough. Yeah. Well, these are quite good here, aren't they?
Quality towels.
And you have two ways of getting the friction. You can pull the friction against the stable hand and keeping the fingers stable. And the faster you go with that, the better. Go on. Yeah, so if you can get your therapy assistant to help you with this, the faster you go, the better. Or you can use the movement with the friction, like this. Circles are really good because the receptors are in circles at the end of your fingers. And they are very fast-acting receptors. So all the time, the faster you go with this, the better, the better, the better.
On the pads of your fingers.
It's right here, right here. They're right at the end of your fingers in half-moon circles. Okay? And they are your exploratory receptors. And so, because they're exploratory, you then go exploring to find something to put in your hand. And in this way, you can start to stimulate the first grasp. The first grasp. And because you're in the hand, watch my hand now, because you're in the hand here, you can facilitate the release. And so you now have primary grasp, release, primary grasp, release, primary grasp, release, primary grasp, release, primary grasp, reach and release. Well, through this modality, you will start to pick up areas of weakness. And you only have, apart from the lumbricals and the interossei, you only have 3 areas of weakness that you can treat. that is thenar eminence, first dorsal interossei, and abductor digiti minimi. Okay? And so, to treat those, you have to work from both the palmar and the dorsal surface, right? And I tend to take the palmar surface first. So I use the hand, stabilize the radial head, bring about extension to get supination through the radius, bring the arm into the body so that there's no pull on the shoulder. And then, is there a hand weight anywhere? Thank you. That's a hand weight. Thank you. That's it, that's it. You weight the fingers down so that no movement occurs from the phalanges. No movement from the phalanges. So your phalangeal component is kept stable, and now is where you start to really up the stimulus in terms of the stretch. So you shape the thenar eminence, and you stretch it, and you stretch it, and you stretch it, and you stretch it until you can increase the web space. Till you can really increase the web space. And then, when you have the web space open, you posture your fingers again, and you really go in to stretch the muscle. Stretch the muscle. Stretch it. And then you go to the muscle itself directly, and you mobilize it. Mobilize it. Mobilize it. Mobilize it. Mobilize it. And then you activate it. Go. 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 And you resist it. Go. And you resist the initiation, and then you get the follow through. So you resist there and follow through. You resist there and follow through. You resist there and follow through. You resist there and follow through.
You're giving distraction as well.
Yes.
Is that adduction, not opposition?
Opposition. Predominantly that's opposition.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. And then from opposition, you then want to see extension. Okay? So you go opposition, stay, hold, 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 and come back to me now. Excellent. Initiation is resisted, go, follow through. 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 Prior to that, you may look to see if you can get a static contraction, an isometric contraction, using the cross and the shaping system. So you would draw the muscle on the hand and you'd put the cross in the middle and try and get a voluntary contraction, an isometric contraction.
You just did the shaping bit before you did the activation, you did the shaping bit.
Yeah, you're right here. Shaping to stretch. Shaping to stretch. Shaping to stretch. And then what you want to see is the reaction. And so you leave the thumb free, you take the fingers, you stabilize the radius, you rotate into neutral position, and then you stimulate the fingers to see what is the reaction of the thumb, so that you're getting the carryover into the voluntary movement. There. Okay. Your second port of call would most often be the first dorsal interosseous. And that is best approached from the dorsal side, with the thumb out and postured. You're now going to create a fulcrum here to find the muscle. The first dorsal interosseous is a powerful muscle. It has a lot of tension in it. And now you get hold of the muscle and you mobilize it. Mobilize it, mobilize it. Create the fulcrum to stretch it, stretch it, stretch it. Fulcrum, mobilize, stretch, mobilize, stretch, and then you posture the thumb, you posture the other 3 fingers, and what you most want to see is a tapping movement, a tapping movement, a tapping movement, that the index is pointing and tapping, is that it leads the movement. It leads the movement. It leads the movement in order to pick up the object, keeping the other 3 fingers.
Would you also like use the notes like to for point?
Yeah.
To,
Yeah,
you know,
target
use it
practice.
or- yeah.
Target practice. Yeah. Okay. And then the final component, you go back to the palmar surface for the, sorry, I'm just losing your position. Thank you. To posture again. And these little weights are ideal. They're really good. To then get abductor digiti minimi, distraction, mobilization, stretch, 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 stretch. Get a static contraction. Go. Yep. Go. Yep. Go. Yep. Go. Yep. Go. Yes. Go. And then use your abductor digiti minimi as the stabilizer for pronation. And this is where you would introduce a bigger object for a full stable grasp. And so now we would take the whole hand, and if possible, we want that to be reactive before it is proactive. Reactive is more cerebellar, based on sensory information. Proactive is more cortical, so you put more effort into proactive. So it's much better to get the reactive first before you go for the proactive. Proactive is more cortical, yeah. So if you now look at Lisa's 2 hands, you will see a postural difference. Okay, and if we now take her down to pendula with both arms and use this object, right? So reach and grasp with your left hand first, the object. Good. And now reach and grasp with your right hand. And once again.